Everyone thinks a smart ring like the Ultrahuman Ring Air is just a cheaper Oura clone, but here's the thing, it's not trying to be a mini smartwatch at all. It's trying to be invisible and still change your behavior, because the surprising truth is the smallest device often makes the biggest difference. I wore the Ring Air for 30 days through 2 firmware updates, tested sleep and recovery against a Polar H10 chest strap and an Apple Watch Ultra, and even synced it with Ultrahuman's glucose platform. What I discovered flipped my expectations about accuracy, battery, and whether you actually need a subscription to get real value. Before we dive into what I discovered, quick heads up. If you're already leaning yes and want the best current price, I've dropped my affiliate link below. But stick around, because there are a couple of quirks that might change how you size, charge, and even use this ring day to day. Look, here's the deal. I wanted a break from wrist fatigue and endless app paywalls. I train 5 days a week, I'm on calls all day, and my sleep went off the rails after a few late-night caffeine hits. Watches were too noticeable, Whoop's subscription stung, and Oura's paywall had me on the fence. I needed something that could track recovery, not nag me, and survive kettlebells and swim sessions without babying it. I was skeptical because every ring promises accurate sleep, reliable HRV, and multi-day battery. But my past attempts gave me noisy data, vague coaching, and scratched hardware. If the Ring Air couldn't nail comfort, accuracy where it matters, and practical insights, it was out. Testing. First, sleep and recovery for 2 straight weeks. I wore the Ring Air overnight while logging a Polar H10 for HR and HRV reference, and kept my Apple Watch on the nightstand for sleep staging comparisons. The Ring Air nailed resting heart rate within 1-2 BPM of the chest strap and kept HRV within about 5-7 ms on average. It consistently flagged my late caffeine nights with a lower recovery score, a 6-10 BPM rise in overnight HR, and less deep sleep. But then the surprise: nap detection was sloppy on week 1, tagging a 20-minute couch sit as sleep. A firmware update the following week fixed it, and naps started registering more cleanly. Next, workouts. I stress tested it with intervals, kettlebell complexes, and a 10K run. The ring's live heart rate during high-intensity spikes lagged a good 10-15 BPM behind my Polar for short sprints. That's expected for finger-based PPG, but then it redeemed itself where it counts: overnight recovery. On days when I went too hard, the strain metric plus HRV drop and elevated temperature told me to back off, and the next day's workout felt better when I listened. If you want live HR during training, use a chest strap or your watch. If you want to know if you're actually bouncing back, the ring's night metrics are the play, battery, and durability. I averaged 5-6 days per charge, refilling from 10% to full in about 1 hour 20 minutes. That crushed my watch. Showers, dishwashing, and open water swims were fine, and the titanium with a scratch-resistant coating handled barbell knurling without scuffs. But then the charger, it needs precise placement. If you're sloppy, you'll think it's charging when it's not. I learned to check the LED in the app for a couple seconds to be sure. Comfort and fit. The sizing kit was accurate. I chose a snug but not tight size and forgot it was on within a day. No pinching during pull-ups, and sleeping with it felt like nothing. But then, cold mornings tightened my fingers a bit. If you're between sizes, favor the looser one for circulation, illness, and temperature. On day 19, my overnight skin temperature jumped about 0.6 degrees C, HRV dipped, and recovery slumped even though I felt fine. 24 hours later, I had a sore throat. The early warning let me switch to an easy bike spin and push hydration. That's the kind of edge I want from a recovery device. Here's where it gets interesting. The most valuable thing wasn't a single metric, it was the behavioral nudges. The Ring Air's stimulant window and circadian-friendly prompts moved my last coffee 4 hours earlier. Over the following 7 nights, deep sleep time increased by an average of 18 minutes and overnight HR dropped 6 BPM. That's not a gimmick, that's usable change. I also linked Ultrahuman's glucose data for a week. Seeing a late-night carb spike correlate with tanked HRV and worse sleep the same night was the slap I needed to shift dinner earlier. Compared to alternatives, the Ring Air's pitch is simple: strong recovery and sleep insights, comfortable hardware, and no mandatory subscription for core features. Oura's app feels more polished in places, and their readiness model is familiar, but you're paying monthly for full access. Whoop's coaching depth is excellent for athletes, but again, subscription and a wrist strap. The Ring Air sits in the middle. You get solid recovery guidance and habit coaching without a monthly bill, and the app keeps improving with frequent firmware updates. Too good to be true? Not entirely. Sleep staging, like every ring, is an estimate. Expect 70–80% agreement with gold standard studies, not lab-grade accuracy. Daytime continuous HR is okay at rest but lags during high intensity. Android notifications were occasionally delayed for me before an update, and the charger alignment is finicky. But the core proposition, recovery tracking that changes habits, is real. Now that you know, the real power here is behavior change, not chasing a perfect live HR number. Get the Ring Air before sizes vanish or prices swing. I've linked the best current deal in the description, plus a comparison if you're deciding between this and Oura. Check your size with their kit first, it matters. Bottom line. If you want a comfortable, nearly invisible recovery tracker with multi-day battery and no mandatory subscription for the core stuff, the Ultrahuman Ring Air is a buy. It's ideal for lifters, runners, busy professionals, and anyone who wants better sleep and smarter training without wearing a watch 24/7. If you need live HR for intervals, pair a chest strap. If you want the deepest coaching and don't mind a monthly fee, Whoop or Oura might fit you better. The best fitness tracker is the one you forget you're wearing, and this one made me better by getting out of the way.